HD remakes. Do we really need them if the original game is available? I understand there are so many reasons why you would get an HD remake or release or whatever it's called instead of going for the original. It might be on a different console, because you might not have the original console it was on. It could also be for convenience. The wires in the back of the TV are shit, so you only have HDMI cables. That can be a reason as well. And sometimes old games, if they're really good or people just love them even if they're shit, can be really, really expensive. So if you want to save money, you just get the new re-release, even though that is pretty expensive to begin with. So there are legit reasons, I understand, to get HD remakes. And they are pretty, usually, but the one thing I don't understand is when people buy them and they're like, oh, I could have bought the original, but this one has way more graphics and shit and it looks so pretty. These games were kind of loved without the HD crap that you're kind of talking about, so do you only like it because it's been re-released as something a little more shiny? Can you only play it because it has an HD remake? And unfortunately, I do know some people who have the console, they could save a shit ton of money if they just got the original, but no, they have to have that HD in front of it. I had to talk someone out of getting the Silent Hill HD collection because they were so enthralled that it had HD on it. And I'm like, no, not all HDs are fucking good, because the Silent Hill one is a fucking train wreck. I could go on and on and on about that, but not all HD is, good. In Silent Hill, they removed the fog. That's a huge thing in it, and it ruins the experience. So, do other HD remakes kind of do that? Inadvertently? Do they take away from what the original had? Like, the original charm, the shitty graphics, maybe some glitches as well that kind of, made it famous or something? I don't know. I really obviously prefer the originals over anything. I have played remakes, maybe not HD remakes, but remakes nonetheless, and it just feels a little bit off. I'm used to the controller that it came with to play on it. Recently, I replayed Ocarina of Time on the GameCube, and it's fucking weird because I played it on the N64 when it came out, and all the buttons are different, there's different colors, and it's really fucking weird, so I didn't mind the experience, but I had that thing in the back of my head just what is this? This isn't right. So, does that happen with other games as well? Why HD re-releases? I know they got no ideas left and they need to rehash some stuff that was good. And the one thing that really bugs me is, some HD releases, yeah, you understand that you want to redo, you want to up the graphics and stuff like that, cool. That's awesome. But, The Last of Us came out, and then a year later, it's The Last of Us HD remake bullshit. And I'm like, what's there to remake? It looked pretty before. Why do you need to re-HD it again? Does it really make a difference? Really? I've seen screenshots, but I'm like, do I even fucking care while I'm playing it? Does it really matter? So why do you need HD releases of old games? If, say, they're abundant and available, do you really need to up the graphics? I know I have friends that argue about this to me, and they say, no, it just improves the whole gameplay experience, but, I think it takes away certain things. I mean, some of the HD remakes, for Resident Evil, they get rid of tank controls, but tank controls is what made Resident Evil, so, I don't like these little changes that take away from the original game. Obviously, my stand is bad HDMI fucking, but, I understand some people, they don't have all the consoles in the world, so they have to resort to other, remakes. And most of them are okay. Most of them don't really do much, they just make it pretty, but some of them kind of fuck it up, so I don't know. I am very mixed on this whole thing, but I understand completely why people would buy them. What are your thoughts on this? Do you like HD remakes, or do you really prefer the originals if you could get your hands on them? Let me know, and I'll comment on the next video. Alright, now I'm going to address the comments on archives and video games. Shad makes the most important comment on all of the specifics and legal action that you have to do in order to establish a archive and all that stuff. They mentioned that their public libraries in their area have a video game section that they lend out. In my hometown, back in Canada. There was a public library where it was basically a vending machine where you put in your library card and you took out a game. Now, I don't know if there was age restrictions or anything on it because I was old enough to take out whatever, but it was really cool. Shad also puts out a really good idea in that you have to pitch your sale towards the academic world, because if you can prove that this stuff will teach people, that's a huge thing, and they'll go all over it and want something and that will help students across the world or whatever. But yeah, aiming at academic places is the starting point and the best place to start. And of course, right at the end, just the copyright would be a fucking nightmare. So yeah, there's a lot to think about. Bronx Dragon says, "Oh my god, yes. But not just an archive, a damn museum. That would be fucking cool. And having a big ass building to store all the shit in it, first gaming consoles, a statue, yeah, all of that stuff would be amazing. And that would be the end game type, we've fucking done it. Look at all this shit we have. We are awesome." But of course, we always have to appeal to academics and prove our worth as to why we should actually have this, instead of just being video games are fucking cool, let's do it. It's never ever that simple, even though I wish I could do that. So a lot of the comments are already kind of addressed, but this one stood out to me. Reichtus says, "It amazes me that there's an archive hasn't been made yet. Gaming is popular, and it would be a shame if people missed out on games in the future, because a lot of things are becoming obsolete. You won't have the weird shit that goes into the back of the TV that you're used to from old games. Now you just have HDMI cables, everything." And my reply to this was, video games aren't accepted by people, and it's the people who say video games breed violence, which they're really fucking stupid because they obviously don't know anything about video games. And yes, I've compared this argument to marijuana, where marijuana, for the most part, doesn't harm the person. In general, it's not as harmful as some other drugs like cocaine and fucking crystal meth. It's just not socially accepted yet. It might be in the future if it's completely clean, but even though it has those little tiny bits, it's just I don't like that. And that's kind of what video games have. They have that, oh, I don't like that violence and shit. And video games and pot and marijuana are new, and people need to warm up to them. Alright, thank you for all those awesome comments, and I'm sorry that I already pretty much addressed most of them before this, but take your time to read through some of my replies that are on the video comments, and I will see you soon, hopefully, with a new Game Talk episode. Thank you!